Vince, thanks for joining us today.
You're welcome.
Why don't you do something for us and let everybody know who you are, the company you're with, and where you guys are from?
Sure. So I'm Vince Kadar. I'm the CEO of Telepin. We're headquartered in Ottawa, Canada. Telepin is a software company. We focus on a single software platform. We call it a digital transaction platform, but its primary purpose is to launch a financial services product in any market around the world. It just so happens that we spend a lot of our time in these developing markets delivering a much needed service for end consumers to bank the unbanked and to provide a service to combat financial inclusion or to provide financial inclusion for people around the world.
So Vince, what gets you excited about mobile payments?
So, because mobile payments it's an industry that's defined, but it's an industry that's up for disruption and for change. Because it's been, I wouldn't say stagnant, but it's been a slowly evolving product. And the product has very much been the same since the introduction of a payments product, which is a 16-digit account number, which is the number that's on your Visa or MasterCard, right? So what needs to change with that? There's a lot that needs to change, from the terminals to the back-end software to the programs that are in there, from the end user experience as well. But then also just from being able to carry around your currency in a digital format. Right now, this is a proxy of a limit that you can spend, and all those transactions and those fees actually they're going somewhere else. And so we're building closed-loop systems that interconnect to open-loop traditional payment systems that we look at a market and we try to understand where the problems are, right? Where are the queues forming? What are people using their hard-earned dollars with? Where are the problems that reside in each one of the markets that we're deploying in order to really provide a solution for that end consumer that's of value. They need to see value, right? And it's not just the end consumer, it's our customer, which is the B2B customer, but it's everybody in the ecosystem needs to see some value. At the end, our customers need to build a business, and a business that's sustainable for the long term. So, when I think about what we're trying to do, we're trying to build 100-year-old businesses from now. That will last 100 years from now, that will evolve over time, and that will really provide value to everybody in the ecosystem.
How would you define innovation within the Telepin ecosystem?
I'd say there's nothing holy in any market. So everything is up for grabs. No matter what the traditional way of moving money to payments, to whether it be a merchant-based push to a consumer-based pull, it's up to your imagination on how you see that the market can evolve. So we're constantly experimenting, we're constantly tuning. We work in working groups in the bigger play. We work with organizations like the Gates Foundation in order to create a level playing field for the marketplace. But we also have our own innovations group where the engineers, our primary focus is to extend what we do today to think beyond tomorrow, right? Think beyond tomorrow into, Tomorrowland. Well, what would Tomorrowland look like? Is it a chip that's embedded in your arm to, a simple gadget that's you're wearing on your wrist? Is it biometric? Does it incorporate some other aspect of your location within the equation in order to provide a payment?
So you mentioned earlier that you're really driving for inclusion, and that's one of the things that we are really focused on here at Pay, is really to figure out how can we broaden the inclusion and diversify the way that people can participate. Can you give an example of one of the ways that you're doing that?
Well, we support hackathons. At least there's inclusion in many different aspects. So inclusion from the point of working with other with other companies that are just starting their journey. This is our 12th year in this journey, right? So we're looked at the old timers, but we still feel very new in this space because it's continuing to evolve. But we help to support a startup ecosystem. So startups that are just launching a product that need to access to our customers or our API because they want to build a service on our platform for our customers as well. So we're helping the innovative entrepreneurs in developing markets in order to launch a service on our platform for the end customer. We're constantly looking at the end consumer as well as how do you make a system easier to use, so that again, just enrolling from the user, and what we use as benchmarks is just the time-based clock. That payment should happen in 20 seconds or less, right? If it's 20 seconds or more, you're tuned out. Right? If my speech is too long here, you probably only, you remember the first 5 words, but the last 5 you're not going to remember, or the stuff in the middle actually you're not remember. So everybody's got a time attention disorder and it's only because everything's happening in an instant. So, and payments need to happen in an instant. Enrolling needs to happen in an instant, right? And creating an inclusive product where, the price to the end consumer, the price to or the time actually in order to enroll, the time to use, the time to make a payment, that's all valuable, right? And so, we're trying to give back time to everybody in the ecosystem, so they're spending less time on paying a bill, less time on standing in a queue actually for something that's very basic that should just happen actually seamlessly and effortlessly.
So speaking of time, we've got a lot of folks that are wondering who should be coming to Pay and why, from your perspective.
I think everybody should come to Pay. Honestly, I think actually the quality conversations that I've had at Pay is better than any place that I've been to before, right? I've been to some of these big events with 12,000 people. There's an event in my industry every year in Barcelona with 100,000 people. And you don't have these quality conversations. You don't really get to the root of why are you here? What are you trying to solve? What's your story, right? Mm-hmm. At Pay, this is a quality event with quality people, interesting problems, some that just make you scratch your head going, I never knew that existed, right? And I like to come away from a conference and say, wow, I learned something. And at Pay, I learned something. I've met great people. I've understood the problem that they're solving. And some of it is just, it's hard to believe actually that someone's working on that problem, right? And that's the interesting part of Pay.
Fantastic. So before we sign off, is there anything specific that we want the listeners and the viewers to know?
I think what's important is that actually what Pay has done is actually brought a group of innovators, leaders, people that are really trying to solve problems actually for that next generation. But they're trying to solve them now, right? So plant the seed, plant the idea, and go forward. So if you're a CEO of a tech company, if you're a CEO of a bank, you're CEO of a telecom company, you should be coming to these events actually in order to understand what each of these businesses are doing. Right? But this has been a great event actually for Telepin. I was very happy to present our story and for the world to hear of our journey from Africa to Asia.
Fantastic. Thank you, Vince. I really appreciate your time today.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.